We all know it's a bad idea to wander into the dark web. There are all kinds of terrifying and terrible things over there. But every now and then, the dark web comes to us. This is one of those times. This old video, known as the Guerrero Flaying incident, has been doing the rounds on everyday websites again. You could even stumble across it on websites like YouTube or TikTok now. Why is that so surprising? Because it shows the real-life murder of two human beings. But where did it come from? Who are those people? And most importantly, why were they murdered in such a horrific way? We have the answers. Before we go any further, we advise you to never watch the real video. It's not the kind of thing you can just forget by the time you want to get some sleep. Most of us aren't used to seeing other people get killed, and we're not really equipped to cope with this kind of thing. But don't worry, we're here to talk you through exactly what happens. That way, you're not missing anything, but you also won't have nightmares for the rest of your life. But first, some backstory. Like with a lot of torture videos that end up on the dark web, their background can be hidden in the shadows. And when that happens, other people like to step in and make up their own stories to fill in the gaps. One version of this story is that one of the people being killed in the video is a policeman. However, while that would make a pretty good movie, it doesn't appear to be true. It seems that rumor started on a forum and spiraled out of control. Now everyone believes it. But go a little further back than the origin of that lie, and you'll find an even darker answer. I'm telling you this now because you won't understand the true horror of the video if you don't know the relationship between the two victims. It's pretty shocking, but the two men in the video are actually father and son. That's not the kind of bonding activity you ever want to go through. The son looks pretty young in the video. You get the impression that he's 17 years old at most. Who are the men who choose to murder the father and his child together? Well, we'll get to that in a minute. First, let's talk you through exactly what the video shows them doing. The video opens with two victims sitting in an empty field, surrounded by men holding huge guns. One man is clearly the ringleader. He's the one interrogating the older victim. The video quality isn't great, but it appears he's shouting something like "snitches get stitches." The interrogation doesn't last very long before he begins violently beating the man with a stick, probably a metal rod. While he beats the older man, he shouts to some of the other armed men. They quickly turn the boy, so he's forced to watch his father be brutally beaten. Finally, the beating stops, but it's about to get way worse. The interrogator barks an instruction, and one of the armed guards steps forward, holding a tiny knife. He doesn't hesitate before he cuts the father's throat. He doesn't react, like he's accepted he's going to die. Maybe that's because he's in shock after being beaten so badly. Or maybe it's because he doesn't want to upset his son any more than he already is. If that's why, it doesn't work. Obviously, his son is horrified. He starts screaming like a tortured animal and panicking. When he struggles, he gets beaten too. The man with the pocket knife continues to slice at his father's throat as his son cries. Finally, the man's entire head comes off in the executioner's hands. You'd think that's the worst experience that a young man could have. Nobody grows up expecting to see their dad decapitated in front of their eyes. But his ordeal was nowhere near over. The video cuts forward to the young man lying on the ground. He's not crying anymore. He's probably in shock, partly because he just saw the gruesome murder of his father, and partly because of the giant gaping wound that's now visible on his chest. The executioner has clearly been skinning the boy alive with the same pocket knife he just killed his father with. The executioner stabs the knife into his victim's chest, but it doesn't kill him. Meanwhile, the ringleader tells the boy that he's going to send his severed head to his mum. The boy doesn't react. You can't really blame him after everything he's been through. He gets stabbed with the knife again, but he's definitely still alive. Then the man with the knife goes back to slowly flaying the skin from the victim's body, piece by piece. Soon, so much skin has been removed from the boy's organs begin to show. Finally, the executioner reaches into the young man's body and pulls out his heart, stabbing it on top of the boy's chest. The boy's suffering is finally over, although some people insist they can see the heart continue beating for a while. By now, you're probably wondering who these violent men are. Even more importantly, what could the two victims possibly have done to inspire such violent actions? Well, the phrase "snitches get stitches" might have given you a clue. Everyone online agrees that this is a cartel video. They're not uncommon. Every now and then, another one will appear on the dark web from all kinds of cartels. But this one is known for its shocking brutality, even by the standards of other cartels. It turns out, this is a particularly shocking level of violence, even to people known for being violent themselves. The name used for the video is normally the Guerrero Flaying incident. Guerrero is the location where the video was filmed. Who are these men? There are two possible answers. According to some sources, they're the leaders of the infamous Viagras cartel. Some believe Los Viagras are an offshoot of the famous Zetas cartel, who made a name for themselves by being extremely violent. However, this is not true. The cartel was actually created by a group of brothers who were once militia members working in self-defense to take down the Knights Templar cartel. They're a long way from that now. having since become involved in drug trafficking and much worse, other criminal activities like human trafficking and gruesome murders like the one seen in this video. They're also pretty famous for having a vicious female assassin who likes to taunt rival cartels by posting sexy photos of herself online as she poses with giant guns. It's an unusual way for a cartel to get attention, but you can bet it works. Currently, the cartel is run by a man who goes by the name of El Gordo. He became leader when the previous head of the cartel was arrested for murdering and dismembering a blogger several years ago. They'd mistaken the unfortunate travel blogger for an undercover American agent trying to infiltrate Mexican cartels. However, these days, it's El Gordo who's taken the place as one of the most wanted men in Mexico. However, the name of the video might suggest this is a completely different cartel. While Guerrero is a place in Mexico, it might also refer to the Guerreros Unidos cartel. They're yet another group widely known for their use of extreme violence. In fact, after the group formed, they announced their presence to the world by claiming responsibility for a triple homicide. They didn't stop there. They seemed to enjoy high-profile violence, and they often stage elaborate attacks. One involved sending hitmen into a hospital dressed as doctors to kill a rival cartel leader in his hospital bed. However, their most famous stunt was shockingly gruesome. A group of students were traveling to join a march in Mexico City when they were intercepted by local authorities. Depending on who you ask, the story is almost totally different. But we know for sure the police rounded up 43 students into police vans. The students didn't know that the police were working for the Guerreros Unidos. They took the students to the gang leaders, and nobody knows what happened next. The bodies of 2 of the missing students were found much later, while the remaining 41 have still never been found. According to American authorities, the students are all presumed dead. So if they're capable of murder on that scale, it's not surprising that they killed a man in front of his son in such a terrible way. But what had the victims in this video done? Well, listen closely, and you might hear the word chapulan. This literally translates to grasshopper, but it more accurately means traitor. It seems the father was a member of the cartel who murdered him. They're accusing him of handing over information about their cartel to one of their rival gangs. This is one of the worst things you can do as a cartel member, so there was no way they were going to let him get away with it. So they did the worst thing they could think of and chose to torture his son even more than him. That sounds weird to us. After all, he's not there to see how much he's really being punished because they kill him first. But they have a good reason for doing it in this way. And if you're wondering why they took the risk of recording the crime and putting the video online, the answer is the same. They wanted to use this guy as an example. Now every time one of their cartel members sees this video, they'll think of their own loved ones before they consider doing anything that goes against the rules. Now they know what will happen if they also make the mistake of giving information to rival cartels. Really, the extreme violence in the video had nothing to do with the man they killed or his son. It was all about making sure their living cartel members are guaranteed to be terrified of crossing them. And I think they probably succeeded. What do you think? Would you betray this cartel after seeing this video? Tell us in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another gruesome story like this one.